Welcome to the Motormouth YouTube channel. I'm Zach.
I'm Andrea.
And we do a lot of car reviews, and in each one we stop halfway through and answer your questions about a specific model. People liked it, so now we do questions, coffee, and cars all on their own, taking your questions from Instagram.
Follow me at Motormouth_Andrea to get your question in. I put up a picture. It stays up for 24 hours on Instagram. We gather our questions, and then we get to it in the video.
Let's do it.
Time now for questions, coffee, and cars.
Your questions from Instagram.
Hi, any word on the Golf R? I heard they stopped production completely for now. Is that true? Well, we don't know anything about stop production of the Golf R, and we were recently speaking to someone from head office as well.
Yeah, so Thomas Tetzlaff is the head of PR for Volkswagen Canada. I texted him, I said, what's up with Golf R? He said, it's not stopped, it's just slow. So,
Well, we were talking to him about the GTI too, and there's hardly any inventory of the GTI. So Volkswagen is struggling a little bit with inventory now.
So across the country, they have 6 GTIs. Of all of their dealers, there's 6 at the end of February. So
if you're waiting for one, that's why there's a delay. Do you think that auto manufacturers are pushing EVs too soon? I realize it may be the wave of the future, but it seems like every auto manufacturer is promoting their EV with actually very few that they're producing at scale. I, for one, have been on the wait list for a Cadillac Lyriq since mid-2022, and Cadillac told me that I can maybe expect my car sometime in Q4 2023 through Q2 2024. Guess what? We haven't even driven the Cadillac Lyriq yet.
Yeah, it's been out for a year for press to drive it, not in Canada.
Yeah.
So we said to General Motors, it's like, why can't you just make an extra one for us to drive in the press? But yeah, it's a problem, and you're right. And that's one of the reasons why Tesla absolutely slays when it comes to making electric cars, because that's all they do. When you have a legacy car brand that's trying to integrate electric into all of their other vehicles that they make, it's much harder. When you have a brand that just makes EVs, that's all they have to focus on.
And now, not only does Tesla have inventory, but they've lowered their price. So now Tesla is actually a pretty good buy compared to some of these EVs, which, as we have said countless times, are not affordable for the masses.
Well, Tesla isn't either.
It's
just
not.
better than it was.
But, you know, you can get a Model 3. I have people saying to me, I can get a 2-year-old Model 3 for less than what I'm getting a non-luxury brand for. Don't get me wrong here. Some do consider Tesla to be a luxury brand.
It's luxury price. It's not a luxury interior.
So, and then qualifying for the EV rebate in Canada, now they're feeling like they can get a pretty good deal, and they're jumping into the Tesla market. That's what I've been hearing.
Because you can't get your Lyriq.
Love cars, but despise the dealership experience when it comes to sales and service. Any tips on how to make this experience more tolerable?
Well, one thing you can do is, when you're potentially going in to buy a car, is go and introduce yourself to the general sales manager, and then also the person that's in charge of the service department, the service manager, and say, hey, I'm thinking about buying a... Like, if they don't want to take the time and talk to you, you want to go down the street to another...
Totally.
So this is the one analogy that I always say. If you went into a mall and you went into a shoe store and the shoes were too tight and they didn't feel right, you wouldn't buy it. You would say, thank you very much. You'd walk out that store, you'd go to another shoe store, and you'd try on a pair of shoes until you found the ones you like. So you should shop for cars the way you shop for shoes. If you don't get a good vibe from the dealer, if you meet the general sales manager and you meet the service manager and they're not giving you the time of day, leave that shoe store and go to another one.
And I also recommend doing a little bit of research. Most of the times when you go to a dealership, you kind of have an idea of what you're interested. Are you looking for an SUV, a car? Watch our videos. We break down kind of the basics, the key standard features, trims that might be more affordable, and then kind of what you get on that top trim as well. Go in and do the research before so that they aren't forcing you to buy something that you don't want. I think that that is also really helpful. But I do agree with Zach, if they're not going to show any interest in you and pay attention, then I don't think that they get your business.
The dealership and the dealership groups that invest in training in their people, they should get your business. The ones that don't, and they just got the guy, hey, sweetheart, what's it going to take to get you into a new car today? You don't want to deal with those guys. You want to go in, they say, oh, what can I help you with? Oh, you want to meet the sales manager? Yeah, no problem. I'll set that up for you. That's what you want.
We have a follower, this happened many years ago, but he was actually interested in getting a Cadillac, and he went to the dealership and they didn't pay any attention to him. They didn't think that he was there and was serious, which he was. He would have bought the Cadillac. He ended up going to Mercedes-Benz, and the service was excellent. He enjoyed the whole experience, and that's the brand he went with. Questions, coffee, and cars, right? So what is your favorite coffee and what do you like in it?
Well, I have 2 coffees. Well, we have drip coffee in the morning.
No, but here, questions, coffee, and cars.
So,
what we're drinking.
Here's another Canadian Americanism. The difference is north and south of the border. So we call it an Americano in Canada. In the United States, it's Americano.
Yeah.
My God, it's Americano.
I actually like that, Americano.
Okay, so I have an Americano with non-fat milk, and Andrea has it
I
black.
have an Americano that's black. That's how we.
You put a little sweetener in it.
I put a little bit of sweetener in it, but not much. I
don't
really
need
love
it.
the taste of coffee.
Because I'm already sweet enough.
Oh please, the milk is sweet too.
And the other one I get is here's another north and south of the border. You ready for this one? Okay, it's a non-fat, no foam. In Canada, it's a latte.
Yeah.
And in the U.S., it's a non-fat, no foam latte.
Yes, Zach needs that when we do this because of his acid reflux, and the Americano has too much acid. Yeah, too much acid, so he gets something with more milk. I mean, high maintenance, right, for Zach?
No one needs to see me coughing because of acid reflux.
That is true. Stellantis.
I'm doing this for you.
Yeah.
Andrea sees it all the time.
I do. I'm fully aware of the issues. Stellantis just released their 2022 results. Car sales are down 2%. Revenue is up 18%. Do you think that this is a clear indication that car sales has changed for good? I cannot imagine a board of directors ever voting in favor of lots filled with inventory and huge rebates and purchase incentives.
Well, this pandemic has taught a lot to the way that you can manage fleets.
Yeah.
Perfect example of this is not Stellantis, but at General Motors. Their full-size truck plant in Ohio, I believe it is, they shut it down for 2 weeks, and this was all for inventory management, right?
Yeah.
So they're learning, to the person's point, if you have lots full, sometimes you got to put discounts on the hood.
And I think that you're probably right. I don't think we're going to get to the point where lots are totally full. I bet you manufacturers don't want that. But it's got to be better than where we are right now, where you have to wait, well, in some cases for hybrids, any sort of an electrified vehicle, up to 2 years. I mean, I just think that's ridiculous. And then hearing from Volkswagen how few GTIs are available across the country. I mean, that's no way to do business either.
Interestingly, I know this because we get an email from DeRosier and Associates. So in the Canadian marketplace, they've seen some really strong numbers. Look at the price of money right now. If you want to lease or finance a car, it's about 8-9%.
Yeah.
And people are out there buying. There's so much pent up demand from cars they couldn't get through the pandemic. And then we had the chip shortage and all of the supply issues. And now people are taking these cars and they're paying the price. They'll say, I'll take it. For example, a Subaru had their best month ever in the month of February in light of high interest rates. So put that in your pipe.
Go figure. Looking to buy a compact SUV or crossover, $45,000 to $50,000 budget that's reliable. I don't mind buying a new or used one. Thanks for all your content. It really helps.
What class? What size?
He didn't say. He just said a compact SUV crossover, but didn't say luxury or non-luxury. I mean, obviously, if you're buying a used one, you could probably get a luxury one, depending on how far you go back. But why don't we just talk new for now?
Okay, what was the price range again?
$45,000 to $50,000. Now, we don't know if that's U.S. or Canadian.
Okay, I would say if you could possibly swing it, the Lexus NX hybrid.
Okay, so that is
at the very top
yeah,
end.
that's too expensive. That's
Or-
over 50.
Or the
So,
Toyota RAV4 Hybrid.
Toyota RAV4 Hybrid, yeah, that's a great one. I kind of made a list here, did a little bit of research. Okay, so RAV4, Venza, both hybrids if you want, or you could do the RAV4 gas model.
Now we shift to the
course.
Koreans, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kia Sportage, of course.
Andrea,
the Hyundai
that's
Tucson.
a Sportage.
Sportage. My favorites, Mazda CX-5, CX-50, they're all coming. These are all brand new. What about the Nissan Rogue, the Forester?
Yeah, well, we could
I
go
mean, there's
through
lots.
all of the compact non-luxury you can get in this price point. So if it was me and you put a gun to my head and said, you got to pick a car right now, I would pick a Toyota RAV4 Hybrid XLE. That's the one I would pick.
Toyota RAV4 Hybrid XLE,
That's the one I would pick.
Now, in the U.S., because obviously pricing is less, guess what falls in the category for you under $50,000? Acura RDX.
Good choice.
BMW X3 starts at just over $46,000 in the U.S. and the Audi Q5 45 is just under $47,000
I'll take
U.S.
two of them, Andrea. We'll take
So,
two of them.
hey man, if you live in the U.S., you're getting some good deals.
Oh, yeah.
Us in Canada, you're limited. If you're buying brand new, you've got to go with non-luxury, but some great options.
Before you go on, if you actually look at the currency exchange, right?
Yeah.
So the Canadian dollar sucks.
I know.
It's like 73 cents to a US dollar.
Yeah.
If you actually do the currency exchange, cars in Canada often are less expensive. You just look at the headline number, you go, wow, that's crazy. A Porsche, for example, is way cheaper in Canada considering the currency exchange.
I know, but people in the U.S. are paid in
No.
American dollars. So you
I
have
know
to
all
look
that.
at it that way. I get what you're saying in the exchange rate, but that's not really how it works. Canadians are paying
In Canadian
in
dollars.
Canadian dollars in the U.S. Like if you're in the U.S. and you can buy an Acura RDX for $46,000 U.S., that's great. In Canada, there is no base trim Acura RDX anymore. So now you're up in kind of the mid 50s for an Acura RDX. It's crazy. How much does a fully equipped Ford F-150 Lightning cost?
Oh, how much money do you want to spend?
Totally.
Andrea's got the list.
The list. I had to write some of the stuff. I mean, I actually had to build it online. Okay, so
What did you get
look
it
at
up
that.
to? $124,000 Canadian and $100,000 US.
I like the US
if
pricing.
you actually look at that conversion, that's actually pretty close to the Canadian US conversion.
Yes, but in Canada, making Canadian
I know, we're
dollars,
going
we're
round in
spending
circles.
$124,000. Also, keep in mind in Canada, we've got that luxury tax too.
Oh boy.
So, ouch. That's a lot of money for the F-150, isn't it? I mean, great truck, but it doesn't do truck-like things like tow.
One thing I want to get to is...
I mean, it tows. Don't get me wrong. It tows. It's just that you might not make it to your destination.
It depends how big the trailer
because
is.
of the EV range.
The question I have is like, okay, so we're giving tax credits to people to buy electric cars. When does that switch and then they start taxing because they're losing revenue on fuel? Okay, if you sign all these people up to buy an electric car, they're missing out on all the gasoline sales. So when does that switch from we'll pay you to buy an electric car to now we're going to charge you because you drive an electric car? It will happen.
Oh, it's coming.
They just have to wait and see.
No doubt about it.
No doubt about it.
But it still might be cheaper for you to pay the fee instead of buying an EV, which are expensive. So who knows? We were at the auto show. Was it the LA auto show or the Toronto auto show?
It's all a
And
blur.
somebody came up to us and he was talking about EVs, and he said,
That was
"Oh
Toronto.
well, the average buyer will spend $55,000." And I'm like, "Wow, really? Like, who are you speaking to?"
The average sales in Canada, I know the number is 60,000 for an electric car now. It's not 55. And for an internal combustion, like crossover vehicle, it's about 40. So that's the RAV4 CRVs of the world.
Yeah.
And then you want the equivalent in an SUV, you're up to 60.
Crazy, eh? Well, the popularity of SUVs designs and the demise of sedans trend continuers. This is just a design phase that the industry is going through. Don't get me wrong, I love SUVs, but I miss my sedans. I don't think this is going anywhere.
It's accelerating. The number of cars are going to continue to decrease. I've said this for a long time. in every category, there are winners and losers, okay? So there are going to be brands that continue to make cars because they're successful at it. Think of Toyota and Honda, and even the Koreans, they still make cars. The domestics have gotten out of that trade altogether, and you can even see it with the German brands. Are they going to eventually get rid of cars and just go SUVs? It could happen.
And you see with EVs, for example, Kia with the EV6, it becomes more of a crossover. You don't have that ground clearance necessarily that you get in a traditional SUV. So they're trying to do sort of a crossover look with EVs. But I'm sure they're going to get into full-size SUVs.
Well, they just do
that are electric.
What Subaru did years ago is they invented the category. Not really. AMC with the Eagle kind of invented the category, but they perfected it. They take a regular car and they outback it, lift it up a little bit, put cladding on it, make it look a little more rugged. You're going to see that across the industry when it comes to even cars. They're going to be outbacked.
For sure. What car accessories to buy for a new car?
Oh, I would say number one thing is all-weather floor mats.
Yeah, we always get those.
Yeah, and then get the rubber ones. And the best ones are to get the factory rubber mats. So that's one thing I would get right away. Trunk liner if you've got an SUV.
Yeah. So this person in particular was interested in an X1, and there was a stop sale on the X1, so he couldn't get it. There's an issue with the airbag that I've read about. So we ended up making this stretch and bought an X3, and he absolutely loves it.
Good
in
choice.
white. Yeah. And so it didn't come with a wireless charger. So guess what? He's ordered it through Amazon. He's going to install it himself.
Okay, so there's lots of side hacks you can do. Like you can have even a little wireless connector, so you have wireless Android and Apple. You just plug it into the USB and it powers, and you can do all of that. The internet is full of reviews of these things, but that's a nice thing to have. And actually in this car doesn't have wireless Apple actually doesn't have Android or Apple.
No.
And there is a side hack. I can put it in. And I'm really thinking of doing that for Andrea because she loves her wireless Android.
Oh, I really do. And now that is one feature that I want. If I were to buy a new car, that would be a must for me. Planning to update my wife's SUV, excluding the Koreans. Which ones do you think are better options than the new Pilot Touring on that price range? I don't care much about fuel economy. What's wrong with the Koreans?
I don't want the Koreans. Okay, so how much is the top Pilot then? Is that what they're looking at?
No, I think they're just saying Pilot. He didn't say top Pilot, but the Pilot starts in Canada just under $50,000. And I think it goes up to around 60,000 Canadian. We haven't driven the Pilot yet.
I'm going to throw you a total curveball. Andrea might know where I'm going with this. Total curveball. In my opinion, the best handling mid-size 3-row SUV and lots of power, the best for towing.
Oh, yeah.
And you can still get it, if you don't care about fuel economy, with a V8 engine. And that is?
The Durango.
The Durango is an unsung hero in the mid-size SUV class. Every time I drive one, I love it. We have a nickname for it in our family. What's it called, Andrea?
It's called the Badongo.
We went on a road trip when the kids were little in the Durango, and we started calling it the Badongo, and it's stuck ever since. So someone should actually come up with a car called the Badongo.
The Badongo. The only thing I find about the Durango is I think it needs a refresh to the interior.
It got one.
It needs a better.
It got a new head unit.
refresh.
I disagree with Andrew. I think the refresh they did to it looks much better.
It's okay.
Okay, so that's way out of left field.
Okay, so how about, I don't know if you're only looking for a 3-row SUV, but how about the new Grand Highlander that's coming?
I knew you
It
were
looks
gonna say
pretty
that.
sweet.
Yeah, but we got to drive it first.
Couple-
No one's driven it yet.
No, a couple others. The Honda Passport is big and spacious. And then also, but no Hyundai Santa Fe. I was going to recommend the Hyundai Santa Fe. I really like that one too.
Yeah, so the Passport is the Pilot without the third row.
Yeah.
That's basically what you're buying.
But I actually like it for its space. I thought, storage-wise, I thought it was excellent.
Okay, so
for a family.
Get it while you can is the Volkswagen Atlas. And if you don't care about fuel economy, it's got the VR6 for 2023. And then for 2024, they're going to have the turbo 4-cylinder.
Yeah.
So that might be one you get this year before they change the engine.
Another one I like that I think people forget about because it's kind of the forgotten brand a little bit is the Infiniti QX60. I really enjoyed driving that, and also the Acura MDX is another great option if you can make the stretch for that.
Well, there you go. That's another episode of Questions, Coffee, and Cars. We do these regularly. Once again, if you want to take part, all you need to do is follow Andrea on Instagram. It's Motormouth_Andrea. She puts up a picture for 24 hours. We collect these and then we do them. And we do them regularly. So if you don't get in on this one, you can get in on the next one.
And if you don't have an Instagram account, no worries. Enjoy this segment and all the questions that are put forward. But also, Zach does a live show on YouTube every Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific time.
Yeah, that's 7 p.m. Eastern. So join in on that. And of course, subscribe. Everybody on YouTube says, hit the bell, the notification, the thumbs up. You know the drill on all that.
Well, we put out a lot of unique content each week, and we'd love you to follow along.
All right, and we'll see you next time.